Hey YouTube, today's video comes at the request of a subscriber. Today we'll be going over the disappearance of Sebastian Rogers, as well as the timeline from when it first happened to where the investigation currently stands. Many have called for the media to begin giving this case as much attention as the Riley Strain case had, considering the similarities between them. I don't know if they will, but I wanted to get you guys up to date on the case in case anyone hasn't heard about it yet. As always, we'll be praying for Sebastian's safe return. For those of you who don't know, my name is Blue, and I'm a police officer with 10 years of experience. Before we get started, any opinions here are just my own, based on my own training and experiences, and not the opinions of any department or organization. We post true crime videos here at least weekly, so if that sounds like something you like, consider subscribing. With all that said, let's get into today's case. Our story begins on February 25th, 2024. Sebastian, a 15-year-old autistic boy, is put to bed by his mother. The next morning on February 26th, Sebastian's mother went to wake him up for school and noticed that he was gone. The police would be called, and a report was immediately taken. Sebastian fits the criteria for a missing endangered person due to being on the spectrum. An endangered child alert was issued at approximately 11:17 a.m. by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation on behalf of the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, and with that, the search began. So let's talk about those search efforts. The department is using every resource they have to find Sebastian. The Sumner County Emergency Management Agency Director Ken Widener said over 200 people had been dispatched to search for the missing teen. This would include multiple canine teams, mounted units, helicopter crews, and drones. Eventually, those assets would also include police boats and search and recovery divers. The search team, as well as volunteers, would cover nearly a 5-mile radius. The Chief Deputy, Eric Craddock, commented, "I can't recall off the top of my head when the last search like this was. Obviously, this one is exponentially more important, being a child who does have autism. This search was absolutely exhaustive, and is still currently taking place. But something that was uncovered the next day would raise the stakes in this investigation." On Tuesday, February 27th, new details uncovered in the investigation would raise Sebastian's missing person status, causing an Amber Alert to be issued. We've discussed this in the past, but let's go over it briefly again here. A missing person is simply someone who goes missing. A missing endangered person is someone who goes missing and is believed to be in danger because of age, health, mental or physical disability, in combination with environmental or weather conditions, or they're believed to be unable to return safely without assistance. This is where Sebastian was initially. But an Amber Alert is another thing entirely, and is an alarming development in Sebastian's case. A missing person must meet 4 criteria in order for an Amber Alert to be issued, and they are as follows. There is a reasonable belief by law enforcement that an abduction has occurred. The law enforcement agency believes that the child is in imminent danger of serious bodily harm or death. There is enough descriptive information about the victim and the abduction for law enforcement to issue an Amber Alert to assist in the recovery of the child. The abduction is of a child aged 17 years or younger. You'll notice that an abduction is the key element here. Initially, it was assumed that Sebastian had wandered out of his home through his window or front door. But as officers reviewed security cameras at the home, it became apparent that there was more to it. Let's take a look at what they saw, shown to us here on a news clip from Channel 5.
It is believed Sebastian left his home barefoot and with a flashlight sometime overnight. Since his disappearance, authorities have reviewed security video from homes in the neighborhood looking for clues.
We have had several clips that have come in.
And this one is getting the most attention, showing signs of activity around Sebastian's home the night he disappeared. You see 2 light sources, which we've circled to help you follow. For point of reference, the security camera was pointed toward the back of Sebastian's home in a common area. In the video, you see subject 1 with a light source in the lower right-hand corner. Then you see subject 2 briefly appear and move toward the first before that light source is covered or obscured by bushes. Subject 1, a few seconds later, then moves out of frame. Then subject 2 reappears and follows subject 1 off screen. It's a short time later and it's very vague, but then you see one of the subjects moving quickly back through the common area, and that is it.
Okay, so that was possibly the grainiest footage I've ever seen in my life, and I've seen hundreds of hours of security footage. But if that's all you have to go on, then that's all you have. What investigators believe is that video shows 2 subjects with flashlights in the backyard or common area of Sebastian's home in the early morning hours of the night he disappeared. Could it simply be a coincidence? Maybe a couple walking their dog? It is entirely possible, but it strains credulity to assume that happened during the hours that Sebastian went missing. It's also believed by detectives that Sebastian may have left his home that night on foot with a flashlight, so there is the possibility that Sebastian may be one of those lights seen on the footage. But then the question is, who did he leave with? Sebastian lives at home with his mother and stepfather, but his biological father claims that Sebastian would never leave the home with a stranger. It is also believed that Sebastian left the home barefoot, another fact that doesn't add up to his father. He claims that his son once stood on an anthill barefoot and got stung badly as a result. Because of this, his father claims that Sebastian would never leave home barefoot, as he has never done it since that incident. Again, many of the discoveries here aren't adding up. To highlight how thoroughly the police are searching for Sebastian, it's reported that as they drive and walk around the area, they're blasting the song "Eye of the Tiger" by Survivor from speakers, reportedly his favorite song. Police also continued to ask residents of the area to check their own cameras and turn in anything that could be helpful in locating Sebastian. On Thursday, February 29th, a nearby pond would be entirely drained, to eliminate it as a possible place Sebastian could have wandered into. You see, in police work, it's a well-known fact that young children, especially those on the spectrum for some reason, seem attracted to water. In many cases, they seek them out almost immediately when wandering off, and many are not able to swim. It's almost as if they're drawn there by magnets. Here's the body cam footage of 2 incidents in recent years.
Responders rushed to rescue a 4-year-old boy with autism after someone saw him running into a pond. Body camera video shows Hillsborough County deputies making their way through some thick shrubs until they found the boy and pulled him to safety. He was reunited with his family and he was not hurt in all of this. They say it was cattails in the pond that helped him stay afloat.
An officer was in the right place at the right time when a child with autism wandered into a pond at a park in Topeka, Kansas. Officer Aaron Bulmer was patrolling the area looking for people involved in an altercation when he saw a child walking toward the water. His body cam shows him run to try and stop the child, but it was too late, so Officer Bulmer jumped in.
Got a kid that fell into the pond. I just got him.
Another park goer helped bring the child to land while the officer got out of the water. Police say a parent was located in the park looking around for the child.
Thank God those officers and bystanders were there to intervene before tragedy struck. In Sebastian's case, thankfully, those ponds were empty, but that also meant the mystery of Sebastian's disappearance only continued. In the following days, a reward was put out for information leading to Sebastian's discovery, and that reward would eventually be increased to $3,500. By Monday, March 4th, police announced that they were scaling back their ground search for Sebastian and using their resources to focus more on the investigative aspect. So what does that mean? In essence, police have used a massive amount of resources, with major help from the community, a search that covered a radius of 5 miles. Because of this, they have determined, along with the information leading to the Amber Alert being issued, that continued search efforts will likely not turn anything up without further investigative leads. Basically, instead of just randomly walking around and searching, they are looking to develop better investigative leads that will increase their chances of finding Sebastian. That being said, searches do still continue. At that time, investigators wanted to be clear there were no leads or evidence to give them belief that Sebastian was not alive. The same day, Sebastian's mother and father gave an interview, but they were eventually criticized by the public for not issuing one earlier. In my opinion, that's up to each person and family individually. In all honesty, I'm not sure an interview by family members pleading for the safe return of their child has ever actually been the cause of their child returning safely. But people are suspicious. I'll leave the link to their interview below, if you guys are interested. Tell me what you think about it. Now on Thursday, March 7th, investigators moved to search a landfill in White Plains, Kentucky. This landfill is where the garbage from Sebastian's home is taken. This is a telling, but necessary part of the search for Sebastian. That's because the obvious inference here is that Sebastian could have been killed and thrown away in the trash. However, a search of the landfill turned up empty, although I wonder how deeply you can actually search a landfill. On Sunday, March 10th, Sebastian's father, during an interview, claimed that a search dog had tracked him to a nearby construction site, but the trail had gone cold. Apparently, this was ruled as a false alarm by investigators. Today, the investigation continues. Police have said that they have numerous video clips that have come in and they're sorting through, but again, nothing definitive has been released. Sebastian remains missing, and what happened to him is still a mystery. Let's note here that Sebastian was at home alone with his mother, and the stepfather was reportedly out of town when this happened. On March 22nd, the body of 22-year-old Riley Strain was discovered in a river near where he was last seen. Riley dominated the news, and massive amounts of volunteers came from all over to assist. Now people are asking for those same resources and coverage to help bring Sebastian home safely. One of these resources is the Cajun Navy. The Cajun Navy are volunteer groups made up of private boat owners who assist in search and rescue efforts all over the United States. Now, many people are critical of the police and their response and search for missing people. This was evident in the search for Madeline Soto, Riley Strain, and now Sebastian Rogers. But to give you an example of the enormity of the issues that police face, take a look at this. Each month, around 600 children, on average, go missing in Tennessee. That's a lot of resources for a very small number of detectives, who are juggling that on top of every other thing they're tasked with investigating. 600. That's a staggering amount, yet how many of those do you ever hear about? I'm not sure why some are picked up by the media while the majority aren't, but just know how prevalent of an issue this really is. As of today, here are the active Amber Alerts for the state of Tennessee. Remember, these are missing children who are believed to be abducted. Continue to pray not just for Sebastian's safe return, but theirs as well. And that brings us to the end of today's case, guys. Unfortunately, there have been no major updates in this case, but the search is ongoing. You'll notice police have not been as vocal dismissing foul play as they have in Riley's case. What do you guys think happened in this case? Leave your theories in the comments below and we'll talk. If you guys like this type of content, consider subscribing. And as always, stay safe and stay tuned.